Okay. Some of the operational things in here has already been covered a bit earlier, and to just touch on Curtis's comment on the budget completion process, there's no change to the amount of information we're presenting to the members. It's just the process of bringing it to completion. So what I'm planning to do is cover what we think 2020 is going to end up like, although it's a bit of a moving feast in present circumstances, and then cover the budget for 2021. The paper that was released towards the end of last week gives a lot more information on the 2021 budget. Some of the comparisons to 2020 have changed in that the information that was included in the paper last week was prepared some time back, and we've had another update on our forecast. So there has been a bit of fine tuning on 2020. For 2021, we still expect COVID will affect us at least till mid-year. So that's what we're anticipating in our projections, and returning to some sort of normality towards the end of next year. Despite what is going to be difficult conditions again, we're still anticipating a small surplus of about 0.3 million after providing for 10% price cuts that Jen covered, as well as having a reserve for further promotions during the year as circumstances get a bit clearer for us. So I'm going to have to refer to my note because I've cut off half my screen with your pictures. So for this year, we're saying that although we haven't got quite the same level of applications as the last couple of years, it's probably not too unexpected, but we're still seeing good growth in both members, particularly 100 gig ports, and holding on to 10 gig ports even after upgrades. And as Jen's covered, our capacity is steadily increasing. So for where we think we're going to end up this year, our revenue has taken a bit of a hit as expected. We're going to be about 8% down on our revenue, we think. But what we have done is cut back on all of our costs in a significant way. And we're going to be considerably better, sort of 13% better on cost than we anticipated, which then ripples through to a surplus in the region of 1.5 million rather than 0.8 million, which is some 87% better than planned. In relation to CapEx, that's more or less happening as we expected, and Richard will cover some of those projects a little bit later. So looking at 2021, oh, actually I've skipped a slide, I beg your pardon. Operationally, again, we expect to be affected by COVID, so the level of growth is not anticipated to be as much as we would otherwise expected, but still healthy. Membership growing, although we do expect some members to fall away because of COVID, so our growth will be offset by cancellations. 100 gig ports growing by 20%, 10 gig still holding on and growing by a small percentage, about 7%. We expect that 400 gig, if it appears, it won't be till the very end of the year. So for 2021 financial results, taking account of the 10% price cut 1st of Jan and providing for £500,000 worth of promotions at some stage during the year, we expect our revenue will in fact fall by a small amount next year to about 16.4 million. Our costs to marginally grow just over 1% to 16.1 million, leaving us with a surplus of 0.3 million. On the CapEx side, we are getting ready for 400 gig and making investments there. Richard's going to cover that again in his presentation a little bit later. So although the 2.6 does look a bit high compared with 1.8 this year, it is considerably less than we have spent in a few years ago when we did the last technology upgrade. I think that's all I was planning to cover on this in this presentation. So the paper was issued last week. You haven't had a great deal of time to look at it. I appreciate, but there is more information in there. But I'll take any questions anyone has at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to hand over to James. So James, if you just unmute, you'll be able to ask your questions.
Yeah, two things. The operational result thing says that it was an increase in ports when it looks like there's a drop in the percentage change, and the capex change looked wrong on that last slide, as well as being different from the results that are also on the website. So.
Can you point me in a better direction there, James?
On the slides on the website, it's page 4. So if you go,
I think there might have been. Yeah, if are you talking about the 1.8 and the 2 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a typo on one of those where we had 2 million instead of 1.8.
Okay. Do the results show individually how each of the individual exchanges are going? Because I thought we were going to include those in results going forward.
I don't recollect that, but obviously internally we do have the whole budget is split by exchange, and the way it's built up. I don't have those figures as part of the presentation or in a format I can easily share, but that's the way we build up each forecast based on each exchange's performance and each product within each exchange. So it's not a sort of cover-all type assumption. We do go into that detail, but we don't include it in the information I have in front of me at the moment.
We have.
But obviously, I mean, sorry, Jen, I was just going to say, but I think perspective has to be brought into this. I think somewhere in the presentation that LON 1 and LON 2 plus 100 gig and 10 gig represents something like 80% of our revenue. So once we start getting into some of the smaller exchanges, the significance to the budget is fairly small.
Mm-hmm. We have a similar question from Holt, which is how is Nova doing overall, which is obviously similar to what James just asked. So it might be worth if maybe Holt and James go into the breakout room with you, Malcolm, maybe you could.
Yeah, although I think Curtis covered something on Nova a bit earlier on that it is growing, not dramatically, but it's growing.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer Walt. I mean, it is growing and is essentially meeting the results we have set out for it. And I think that's true for all the IXs. We continue to review and debate this with the board, whether they are, each exchange is meeting the thresholds we have set for them and if they are sustainable. And we do that throughout the year. I don't know if that's answers your question, but probably we keep doing that.